Hey,
Hey, Allah, very base Allah
Ches.
Ches. Ein koyrim b'tzibur Megillah aksuva bein aksuva. You don't read them in tzibur Megillah in that which is written amongst the other ksuvim. So let's see, meaning that if it's a part of a Tanakh, you don't read from it. V'mikol yotza. Here's the opposite. It's not yotza. You know, so you say al shar yiriyus, unless there was a definitive visibility between it and the other yiriyot, or chasero, or there was something lacking, it was shorter than the other Yuriyot, Kadeshi Eloheka. You should know it's Mikra Megillah. Now, let's go down below. When it's written among the others, even if it's not less and it's not more, it's like all the other Yeriyos, because the Kodesh B'Neim Suva that it's written amongst them. And these Yotze Yidei Chavosai. The Magen Mishnah is Mitzayin Megillah Yud Testament Beis into the Riv. According to the Amorim say, the Agores Maimonides means the Lashon HaGemorah, Yochid Yotze Megillah Ksuva Ben Aksuvim. An individual can be Yotze, Afil B'Tzibur Imechser or Imiascher. That a Tzibur can be Yotze. Remember, they didn't have books, they only had these pamphlets. The Tur in 691 says that it should be written alone. It shouldn't be with other Kizvei Kodesh. It's together and alone. An individual can be Yotze, but it should not be like a Sefer Torah. How else would it be done? I guess I'm not sure how they would do it. Would it be continuous or not? Would they bend the pages over? I'm not sure. Would it look like a book? It would look like a book, page after page. I don't know. Al B'Tzibur Lo Yotze. And if one was higher or lower, and the other years, even B'Tzibur Yotze. He brings in the Bali Yito that B'Tzibur you're not Yotze. What does it mean? Reis HaKnesses. It's a Mogam Tzibur, you need Pesum Minissa. But if Tzibur, if you have 10 people, that's not called a Tzibur as far as this law is concerned. The Torah himself says that a Ketena are a Tzibur, and therefore you wouldn't be Yotze unless the pages are discernible that it's a separate Megillah, even though it's bound together with the rest of it. Reis Jesus cites from Rashi that a Megillah that's written among the others is like the way it was in their days. That it was the only way they did it was they were rolling it. And therefore, if it's written among the other Nevi'im, or Ksuvim, you're not Yotze, that it has to be by itself. That way, you see more that it's Megillah Esther, we're talking about this specific one as opposed to the other things that are written in the other Ksuvim. Now, otherwise, it looks like he's reading just to teach people about what happened in Eicho or in Kehelas or Shiashir. When it's more or less, then there's recognition that he's reading the portion of the Megillah. He brings from the Ran that this was only said in Tzibur, and some explain only the Tzibur, but the individual can be Yotze. But the Ran is of the opinion of Hani Mili Yitzibah V'Yochad Yotza. And what does that mean? And he means that they make it weaker. Therefore, L'chatchila, even B'Yochad, you shouldn't read it. That you only are not Yotza L'chatchila B'Tzibur. But B'Yochad, even L'chatchila, you can do so. In other words, when they write Hani Mili B'Tzibur V'Yochad Yotza means L'chatchila, not B'Di'evet. And therefore, B'Tziva B'Di'evet you would be Yotze. But the Rambam writes specifically that B'Tziva B'Di'evet Nami not Yotze, like the Riv and the Das Orosh. Shulchan Aruch in 691 says that the Halacha is you don't read B'Tziva if it's written among the others. If you read it, you're not Yotze, unless the Yiriyah that parchment was either greater or lesser than the other parchments, and an individual can read even if it's part of the Ksuvim, but only if it's written in a rolled fashion as opposed to in a book form like we have today. To be halacha, cites a prima godim, that from the Lashon Machama it would seem that even Lachatchila you can read Yochid, even though he has a separate Megillah that's written by itself. But the Gemara adds that from the Rif and the Rosh and the Torah would seem that you only Yoitza B'diavad, and therefore it's preferable to have your own Megillah, and I'm sure the Sefer are happy about that as well. Okay. Now we're learning Perek Beis Halacha Tes. And Kodesh Megillah Ela B'Diyoy Al Agvil. You write the Megillah the same way that you write the Sefer Torah with Diyoy, which is a certain type of ink, on Gvil, which is a certain type of parchment, or Al Klaf, Sefer Torah. The same rules that apply to a Sefer Torah. Now, you go down below. In Kodesh Megillah, you can write the Megillah only B'Diyoy Al Agvil, or Al Klaf, Sefer Torah. In Hilchos Megillah Sefer Torah, it's explained how do you make ink. This is the ink that is a mitzvah mufcher. It's the best type to write it with it. Sefer Torah, Tefillin, and mezuzahs. You have to use mei avtso in kankantum that is standing and which remains and does not become erased. It's kosher. Therefore, if that's the case, what is not permitted by Halacha Moshe B'Sinai? The Mayat, this comes to tell us other types of ink, like red or green, or yorok is green, etc. If you wrote a Sefer Torah, Tefillin, or mezuzahs, even one ois, other types of writing, or in gold, it's possible. The Maggid Mishnah cites the Mishnah. If it was written b'sam, b'sikro, or b'kumis, different types of inks, you're not yoitza until it be written ashuris ala sefer on the parchment with yoy, and only with the type of ink which is called yoy. But the Maggid Mishnah points out, if he wrote it the mei avtso v'kankantum kshero, and this is not mentioned in the Gemara, and it's kosher too. We learn from Makal V'chaim from Sefer Torah. If you have a Sefer Torah kosher, and certainly from Megillah it's kosher. And you should know that kantum is psulo itself. It itself is psulo v'meimo kshero. With its waters, though, it is kosher. Because of Ishar Mine Tzevoinin, psulo. If you did it in different types of color, it is possible. This is here. 1 second. Alakvil or alaklav kesever Torah. And here's we find there are 3 types of skins, which are called gvil, klav, and duch sustus. That means after you take off the skin, you work it out, and you in salt, etc. And after and then you use flour on it, and afterwards different types of chemicals, and it makes it strong, and that's called gvil. Now, after you worked it, you take it and they split it down the middle until you have 2 pieces out of the 1 piece. So you have the outside where the hair was, then you have the 2 pieces in the middle. One is the back of the outer skin, and one is the front. The other side is the front of the inner skin, and the other side of that is the part that was close to the meat, and etc. The side that has the hair at one time is called duchsustus, and the side that had the meat next to it is called klaf. Now the Shulchan Aruch explains what's klaf, amar duchsustus. Leather, at the time parchment, when you work it, you divide it into 2. The outer side, the part that was near the hair, is called klaf. The inside, which is next to the meat, is called duchstus. Klafim shalonu, in our parchments, that we do not divide them in half, they have a din of klaf. You write on it, on the side that was to the side of the meat. You don't divide it in half. Hilchos Megillah says, Halacha Moshe Sinai, you write a Sefer Torah only on Gvil, which is the inner side, if I get the outside, because that they didn't split it in half. He only meant Gvil to tell you that you duchstuses, you shouldn't write on the duchstuses. It needs to have lines which is sealed, like we find that there should be straight, like in the Torah itself. The Magen Mishnah cites the Megillah 16b. It has to be sealed, just like Torah. When you make, they make before they write, they make lines. It should be straight. You should know that sealed it says Keturah Atzma. By Gvil and Klav, he says Kisei V'Torah. He changes his language. The Rambam is very, very exact in his language. Why does he say in one place like a Torah and like exactly, and the other one it says Kisei V'Torah? Now, Gos Maim is that this is learned from the Posuk, and we'll turn the page. We find in the Torah Divrei Shalom V'Emes, and he cites Hilchos that is Halacha Moshe Sinai that you write the Sefer Torah mezuzah and sealtut, and Tefillin does not need sealtut because you don't see it, you don't read it, and therefore it doesn't have to have sealtut. The Megillah we're reading, therefore you need sealtut. Ve'noyer shelot tzorch la'arbe lishmo. Now Sefer Torah, the letter has to be worked from the very beginning for Sefer Torah, like Kedusha Sefer Torah. But the Rambam says by a Megillah that's not the case. The Magen Mishnah says it's poshut. We don't find the obligation of having it work just to rewrite it. It's only like Sefer Torah for things that they are similar to, such as the ink, etc. Hilchos Megillah cites the Baal Sefer HaMitzvahs, says this is the Halacha according to the Rambam. Hilchos Megillah points out that it doesn't need to be worked the leather for Shem Kedushas Megillah, since it says we can do it, you can read it even from something which is written bein aksuvim, even though there, the other Kizei Kodesh, you definitely don't have to have the Shem Kizei Kodesh. Rabbeinu Simcha and the Yereim say that it should be worked for Shem Kedushas Megillah because it says it's similar to the essence of Torah, which needs sealtut, the same way that it needs the lines. Therefore, it also has to be worked to be made leather, the Kedushas Megillah. Now, that also means as to how the oishis look and how much parchment you need to leave, and how many letters have to be between words. What's ziyune oishis? It means the tagim that are on top of the letters. There is sort of a crown, or one or two or three, as we have on the letters Shat, Naz, Gats. Out of the 22 letters, these are the ones that have crowns. You need three on each one. Shulchan Aruch by Tefillin. Hekev Gvil, what does it mean? It has to be surrounded by empty space, but every eyes cannot touch the other one. And there has to be empty parchment around it. If it was written, as Rambam says, it was written on paper or on leather that's not worked, which the Gemara calls diftera, or shikoz v'goy, or a goy wrote it, or yapikoris psula, or an apikoris it's posel. The Magen Mishnah cites the Megillah, Yud Zayin, and the Shulchan Aruch paskins that way as well. The Gemara cites Megiddo. The Goy Yamin wrote a Sefer Torah, it's posel. So in the Megillah, the same rule applies, and it's posel.